Hi there. Thank you very much for joining this episode of my genuine take. So I've just been wondering, it just occurred to me that it's barely 50 days to the start of the African Cup of Nations in La Cote d'Ivoire. The Black Stars of Ghana will come up against the Mambas of Mozambique on the 14th of January 2024 at the Felix Ofe-Boigny Stadium in Abidjan, La Cote d'Ivoire, before we play Egypt on the 18th and then the Blue Sharks of Cape Verde at the Alassane Ouattara Stadium. These are the three group games. We all know that the Black Stars have gone 41 years now. Next year will be 42 years without the African Cup of Nations trophy. The last time we won it was in 1982. Majority of Ghana's population had not been born. If you look at the current statistics and population census, clearly more than 65% of Ghanaian population, 65 to 70, have never witnessed the feeling and experience of winning the African Cup of Nations. So I'm just saying, what can we do basically with all our contributions, everyone's suggestions, honest and genuine suggestions to help the team this time around? The last Afcon was a horrible one to take, one of the most disastrous, if not the disastrous African Cup of Nations we've ever participated in. And I'm putting or jotting down some of the few points that I've been emphasizing for some time now. We have said it over and over again, and I don't think we need to belabor. But when it becomes important, yes, baby, or nani one hona or totoni na obrosu. I was say we keep on hammering on some of these points. I'm sure some of you also will understand what we need to do. So first of all, point number one, 50 days to the start of the African Cup of Nations or to the start of Ghana's campaign, La Cote d'Ivoire. It's just a stone throw from Ghana, our neighboring country. One, the most important thing to do to satisfy the footballing curiosity of every Ghanaian is to name a squad that merits, genuine, core players on merits. I'm sure we are not going to get 100%, get everybody behind the coach for the kind of players he called. But this time around, let's try as much as possible to invite players who deserve the call-ups. Let's try and make the team a solid, compact, and honest call-up. We can only win the African Cup of Nations if we are genuine with ourselves, if we are very honest with our call-ups. We embark on a meritorious call-up. If it will come to the point where everybody will put down their interests and make the Black Stars and the national interest paramount, I'm sure, sir, even if we don't win, people will see how the authorities want to go into this African Cup of Nations campaign with a clear intention, the national interest being paramount. This is my honest take. I believe, number one, the coach should go into this African Cup of Nations inviting players who are not hiding injuries. He should go into this African Cup of Nations inviting players who have distinguished themselves enough, not only on the field of play, but have shown character and commitment. If we don't go into this African Cup of Nations, the previous African Cup of Nations, there were 2-3 players, we call them, who never touch a ball because they are injured. You never know how these things happen. So this is to Chris Hilton. The most important thing to do, and that teams have done and gone on to win the Afcon against all odds, is by inviting players who deserve the call-ups, not players who have big names, not players who necessarily play for big clubs, not players who have played for longer periods of time, players who deserve the call-up, players who have been active, players who will come in and translate their club form to the national team. Honest call-ups. People know. You might think that people don't understand football in this country. A lot of people know. When they see call-ups, And we'll come to that sometime later. People have been mentioning names like Alfred Duncan and all those players who retired prematurely, Bernard Mensah and co. from the national team, because they feel that at this point we deserved a call-up. We never got it. People will talk. At the end of the day, it will amount to nothing. Number one, if we want to go to African Cup of Nations in Abidjan and make a good impact, make an outstanding impact, let's start from the authorities of the national team, technical team, being honest, inviting players on merit. Even a player, one player can become a bad nut when he is not invited. When everyone in that boardroom of technical meeting and consultation knows that this person doesn't deserve. He's only there because of the interest of this man or that man. That alone destroys the unity and bond that a coach would want to build. Honest call-ups. Players who are playing regularly. Players who would never have gotten the call-up but for the interest of an executive or someone. These things should be nipped in the bud once and for all. Let's make the African Cup of Nations in Cote d'Ivoire a tournament of honesty and say, Coach Chris Hilton, name your squad. We are going to assist you with a technical board of very honest men, former footballers who will not necessarily go in for money or for any kind of relationship on personal scale to invite players. Honest call-ups. I don't want to mention names of players, but please, let's go into this tournament inviting players who deserve. If we get 90-95% of players who deserve the call-up, players who can step up. I have been with the team at almost 6-7 African Cup of Nations tournaments, and majority of them will come with controversies of players who have been injured, players who will never kick a ball at the entire tournament, but will be included in the squad because they don't fit, they don't merit. They've been there because of somebody's interest. We know what happened in Cameroon. I don't want to mention names, but let's be sincere. Let us be sincere for once going to this Afcon for the interest of the entire Ghanaian people. If we are honest, football will repay. If we become honest, football will definitely repay the dividends of honesty that we have sowed in it. If we go into the tournament wanting to put our players there just because we want to resell them and get money for our personal gains, nothing will yield out of the Afcon. That is my point number one. My point number two, I'll go to preparation. Very key. Since I started following the Black Stars as a sports journalist, 99% of the times, the team has gone to UAE, Abu Dhabi, Dubai for camping. We used to spend, I remember in 2012 Afcon, we spent around, 2013 Afcon, we spent around $1.2 million in 10 days camping at Abu Dhabi for the tournament. We prepared in Abu Dhabi for a tournament that was to be played in South Africa. My big suggestion is that things need to change. For over 12 years or 14 years, the Black Stars team have been camping in Dubai, sometimes over $1 million for 1 week, 2 weeks. My suggestion this time is that the team should either camp in Ghana or any of these West African countries. My suggestion, and this is something I've told some of the Ghana Football Association authorities, because of the climatic condition in Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, but for the fact that there is no proper 5-star hotel and proper training facilities in Domahim-Kro, I would have suggested that the team will camp at a serene place around Domahim-Kro, but then you may not find a proper training facility. I suggest that the Black Stars of Ghana camp in Akosombo and train at the Right to Dream Academy, where they will have all the requisite facilities. Sometimes you never know the spirit that comes with this team. We saw what the Zambian team did before they plane to South Africa to come for 1 week before the Afcon. They stayed in Zambia for a longer period of time. When the Afcon was in Cameroon, the Senegalese team that won eventually camped in Rwanda for the sake of beating down costs and also acclimatizing easily. We were in Dubai then. I believe we need to change. For 14 years, we've done this thing over and over again. It is time to camp in, say, Akosombo, that has exactly the same weather, climate, conditions like Abidjan. You have Right to Dream Academy. We can negotiate with them, find better hotels in Akosombo, many of them there. Those of you who are revelers and have gone to Akosombo, better hotels there, better climatic condition. And if you've ever gone to Right to Dream Academy, one of the best places that you can train. If we are going to spend $1.2 million, including flight ticketing, going to Dubai to camp, I suggest that we spend around $400,000 to save $600,000 of that and camp in Akosombo. This is my honest take. We camp in Akosombo in Ghana for 2 weeks, and it's a serene place. Nobody ever goes there. It's a gated place. The Black Stars will have the peace of mind, camp in Ghana, and fly to Abidjan for the tournament. It will be an abnormality because this is not what has been done in the past. Other countries have done it. Even if they don't buy into the idea of camping in Akosombo, for instance, I am suggesting Akosombo because of the availability of hotels, quality hotels, the availability of environments that the Black Stars can easily release stress, because Akosombo is very close to Royal Senchi, top hotels around, that they can easily camp there and drive to the Right to Dream Academy and train there. It is very possible to do that. We can easily do that, and I'm sure the Black Star players will love it. Majority of them know the Right to Dream Academy and the facilities that they have there. These are things that we need to start doing. Bring the bonding. Not many Ghanaians will go there to watch. You won't even get the access. They will have their peace of mind. But I think enough of the Dubai. We can cut down cost of over $1 million or $800,000 of flight costs going to Dubai and coming back to Cote d'Ivoire to play in an environment and weather climate that is exactly like Ghana. Imagine the Black Stars camping in Akosombo with the stories that flies around, opening the training up for journalists to move from Accra, from Ho, to watch it for 1 day and then go back. We need to redo things. We need to start addressing some of the wastages around the national team. Wanton dissipation of finances to no avail. The Brazilian national team will train in their own country, sometimes on top of mountains. Those who follow them, they set up mountains, and Akosombo is a place that they can easily get all these facilities and forest environment to have their peace of mind. Better hotels there, 5-star hotels there. This is my suggestion. I would have suggested that they camp in Domahinkro, which is very close to Cote d'Ivoire too, to have a better acclimatization. There is a sports complex there. The Ministry of Sports complex is at Domahinkro, but because of lack of hotel facilities and other training equipment and logistics, it will not be possible. But then Akosombo comes in very well. Let's try and camp in Akosombo this time around and see what happens to the team. Let's change the trend. Winning is not only about what happens on the field, but sometimes luck, sometimes the spirit, sometimes the character that they derive from some of the changes that comes with the team. I don't know what they are planning, but the cost of going to Dubai in a different environment altogether, going to Qatar in a different climatic environment, high cost of hotels. I know they get the best of training facilities, but when they train, they camp for 1 year for a tournament, it will inspire the authorities, Ministry of Youth and Sports, Government of Ghana, to say, let's set up a training camp for the team here. If we keep patronizing facilities of the people in the Gulf, the Arabians, it will not become important and pertinent to us to set up our own. This is my suggestion, that we choose to camp in Ghana or better still, any West African country. But I would choose that Akosombo offers a very nice environment, climatic condition, sporting facilities at the Right to Dream Academy for the Black Stars to camp there. At least it's 10 days. The amount of money we would have wasted flying foodstuffs, flying the team, flying everyone else, and paying for facilities of about $1.5 million for 10 days. It's crazy. Let's change the trend. I'll also go into beyond the modesty of training and building the bond and spirits with Ghanaians. Something that comes to mind is paying attention to little details. Paying attention to little details this time around. If you read from top experts, coaching experts, and psychologists, teams win tournaments not by doing the most, but by paying attention to the minutest of details around the team. Things that others would necessarily not have done. And that will include this training camp that I've said. It brings a lot of changes. People who follow the team, we need to change the trend from management committee to say people who are not even known, but know football for that matter. We can change the trend from management committee to experts of sports or ex-players, 4 of them or 3 of them, to follow the team and abandon this concept of management committee that's been causing us for a lot of time. We need to go back and check all the problems and challenges we've had in the past with personnel, people who follow the team and end up causing chaos in the camp. We need to go back and read, learn lessons from what has caused player indiscipline in camps. We need to solve it months before the African Cup of Nations. Why do we lose confidence after our first game? Or why do we go into our first game thinking that Ghana doesn't start tournaments on a good note? Learn lessons and win our first game. Why do we struggle when we come up against North African opponents? Learn and put it there. Very little details. How many goals have we conceded from set pieces? How many goals have we conceded overall at the Afcon? 25 goals in the last, say, 10 matches. How many of them have come from set pieces? You check and see 70% of them. You take it and correct. How many of our players have missed the last 10 penalties that we've gotten at the Afcon? 6 have missed the penalties. That is 60%. It's a failure. You tip it and prepare. What has been our weakest area when we go to the Afcon in the last 10 tournaments? You tip and you say goalkeeping. Who are we going with this time around? What do we need to tell them? What do we need to do in the last 50 days to change that narrative and bring in a goalkeeper, though may not be popular, but can bond well and correlate, get that cohesion between the defense and the attack? You bring in that. Little details. Who is supposed to start at right back? Why must he start at right back? Does he have any exposure in La Côte d'Ivoire? Is there something peculiar with him? Little details. Joachim Löw Hotel, Pep Guardiola and co. Some people may be thinking about the biggest things about motivation, what to buy for the team, what to promise them. The best of coaches and their psychologists will be thinking about the minutest. What kind of water do we drink? What time do we drink? What time do we sleep? What songs do we sing? Who leads the song? What time do we enter the stadium? What should we wear? Very little details, and they all matter. And you can come by this by going back into the past and recorrecting, picking up the challenges, the problems, the things that have instigated challenges in camp and correcting them, setting up a team of experts to do that. I'm not talking about individual interests. I'm not talking about individuals who would want to hijack. Who has been following the team for the past years? What has come out of that? Who have been the scouting team? How do they scout? Do we get benefit from their reports? We need to set up a table and look at our biggest challenges How do we go to the Afcon? We normally visit the presidency. We have dinner, then we fly. Has it helped? Do we need to change the trend? Do we need to allow the president to visit the team at the hotel, go to their room one by one, have words with them before they depart? If that's the custom that we want, do we need to change the trend? Paying attention to the little details. Issues of captaincy. Do we need to rotate the captaincy at the tournament? We are not looking at the interest of anyone. We are saying collectively, what do we need to do to get to the Afcon and make an impact? And I'm saying from those who have won it in the last few years, Stephen Keshi of blessed memory will say, paying attention to the little details. When we start local players in the team, how does it go? These are things that we need to do. There is something that I've mentioned again, players with mentality. Players with mentality. We need to look at players with very big mentality and attitude. Players who will feel the pain of losing. Players who feel the deep pain, the cut through they're putting salt in their sauce when they lose. Players who feel deep pain and don't want to lose. Players who will never want to step on the field and lose. Players who will want to go to the 90 minutes plus additional time and fight. Whether or not they are experienced, they are talented, they are skillful, they are popular. If they want to fight and they are disciplined on the field, how many of them do we have in the team? Where are some of them that we can have? Do we have many of them who can change the team when we are, at the corner of defeat? Can they turn the table? Can they turn the corner? These are some of the players that we need in the team. Lastly, issues of money has brought a lot of controversies and disrupted Ghana's camp in many tournaments in the past. Money. I've made this suggestion, and I think we need to go back. Anytime we prepare for the Afcon or World Cup, it's about how much do we pay them, and they take it. Whether they talk or not, the players will take it. Appearance fee, winning bonuses, they deserve it. What I'm suggesting this time is that in the past, we've gone to the Afcon, lost in quarterfinal, and come home with more money for the players than the eventual winners of the tournament. We are in Africa. Ghana is not a rich nation that's supposed to feel luxurious about splashing cash on players. I think it gives them this idea of defeatist mentality that even if they lose, they still get money. That is not a proper reward system. That is not a performance enhancing or performance related structure. What I have suggested in the past few months is that this time, let's change the affairs. When we win the Afcon, we will be guaranteed $5 million. Whatever government invests in this Afcon is a responsibility of governments. It's not about going to take the prize money. But then we are investing and paying per diem to the team. Their feeding costs and everything, their flights and everything will be paid. What then needs to be done is that the $5 million that we get from the Afcon, we say, when you get to the final, we will give all the players, each of you, say $80,000. That would have mean winning all your matches to the final or qualification bonuses from the group stage to the final. If it will amount to $800,000, let's just say when we win the tournament, we will give all of you, each of you, $85,000 or $100,000. We calculate that and see it is 50% or 50% of the prize money that we will get, say 2.5 million. Let's put that money at the apex of the tournament, around the cap. Let's put the money side by side with the cap and say, we will pay you your per diem. We will give you some allowances for your stay. But then we are not going to give any player any appearance fee. We will give you a disappearance fee this time around. Before you disappear, that is by winning the tournament, we have placed alongside the trophy or by side the trophy $50,000. Win it and pick the money. We are not putting the money at the bottom of the tournament so that even if you don't win, you have more money. This will not motivate any player. The German national team has a structure. They don't even pay winning bonuses from the group stage up to the quarterfinals because that is supposed to be guaranteed. If you are a player for German national team, you don't have to be paid a bonus at the group stage because that is That is basic. You start getting winning bonus from the quarterfinals where we think other top teams have gotten or where the competition is tight. Let's start with the Black Stars from quarterfinal stage and say, from here, we are going to give you this. But then that money will be placed alongside the trophy. If you win the trophy, 50% of the prize money, 2.5 million, will be shared to the players. Play your heart out, win it and share. Ordinarily, if you had gotten to the final, you will get $60,000 or 70. If you win it, additional 30,000 minus what the state or presidency will promise you. Take half of the prize money. Ghanaians are yearning for the Afcon. Ghanaians have been anxious. We want to win. We've been doing things in the past that doesn't help. It hasn't helped. We need to change. We used to pay you appearance fee. This time around, we want to pay you double appearance fee, but it will be termed as a disappearance fee. So before you disappear from the tournament by winning it, this money will be placed there for you. Let's build that kind of trust. Any player who thinks that they don't trust and won't play the tournaments if they don't pay them appearance fee. Because once you pay them, other teams have not been paid. They are hungry. They want to get to the semi-final and get money. Zambia, Senegal, Nigeria, so many teams will come in with low winning bonuses. They want to play and get to the top, hungry. Then your players have already been paid. What is the motivation? Brazil, Germany, all these teams, this is a performance-related bonuses approach. This is an important thing that we need to change this time. Just honestic. I'm not saying they don't deserve. They deserve. You are just changing the approach to motivate them intrinsically about playing and having the mindset that I'm playing, I want to win. Even if money is a motivation, the money has been placed at the top. Climb to the top and pick it. If you put the money at the bottom of the ladder, there is no motivation to climb. But if the money is at the top and they are tired, they think about getting there to pick the money. If that is their motivation, I'm not sure that is the motivation for most of the players. But if that is their motivation, they will surely do it. Thank you very much. These are my honest takes. I'll come back next time to look at some of the players doing amazingly well in other leagues that we can look at going to the Afcon. It's 50 days. May God bless our homeland, Ghana, and make the Black Stars great and strong. Thank you.